There you go. Unbelievable. Okay. See, now this is one of the things that I wish was a quirk that did not exist when it comes to the software that we use. And I guess technically this is opening kickoff. Hi, John, hear you there. It's a busy Wednesday. It's Wall Pass here. Noon Eastern, it's Red Clay. We'll catch up with our friends in Hart County with their start on the boys and girls side. And we'll go over rankings and scores and get you ready for the week. Big upset last night in Gwinnett County. We'll go over that at noon on Red Clay Soccer Report. Now, hi, Wall Pass Wednesday. John, hear you there. Thanks for dropping by as you always do. Morning, Dell. Busy day yesterday and today, so we're going to be going over a bunch of different things. And it is the NWSL having a three-match week. Technically, I guess, a three-match week. I mean, literally, it's 3 matches in like 8 days. So and for one of the teams that we're going to be looking at, it'll be 3 matches in less than a week. So busy times for folks, and it is midweek match week. We'll get into that, and that's in hour number 2 as we get you ready for the rest of your day. Dylan Butler set to join us at 10 o'clock. We'll look at look at Major League Soccer here in the bye week. We've got a lot of different things to get into in hour number 1 because somebody said yesterday in a 2-minute video that they were leaving a year early. So we got to get into that. Sacramento has their new stadium plans up. And I know that, and you'll hear an interview that happened on local television with a member of the front office. And there was a point that kind of got needled in there, but I think there are other things in play. And obviously for that particular conversation, you kind of wanted to open that door, but you didn't really need to. So we'll get into that. We've got USMNT. They continue their preparations for the 2 matches coming up this weekend and early next week. We'll hear from Christian Roldan and Alex Freeman. Question was asked about each other. And we'll let you know about that one coming up here a little bit later on in hour number 1. So there's a lot of different things to get into, plus the news of the day on the other side of the pond, what you might have missed going in, transactions, gossip, rumor, innuendo, and that kind of stuff. So plenty of different things to get into today because, it is a Wall Pass Wednesday, and we'll get into all of that. You've got roster sizes we have to get into and possible player transactions that we have to get into. So and could there be a team transaction in Liga MX? This is where we need to check in with our friend John Arnold and see if this is actually something that's on the table, where right now they don't have promotion relegation. And they decided coming out of the pandemic to kind of cool that. And so now there's a discussion about bringing it back, but it's not on the books at present. And when we go back into this story, we'll see if it's in the books, because I thought it was coming up in a couple of years, just not right now, because they tabled it. And one of the things that has always kind of raised my collective eyebrow when it comes to Liga MX is, okay, so if you stink, you got to pay a fine to stay in the league. And instead of promotion relegation, you got to pay a fine. So instead of investing in yourself, the league is telling you that you got to pay a fine to the league because you stunk so much. And we'll get into all those rules and regs, but there's the possibility that has been floated that you may have another team buy the naming rights, or at least the property of another franchise, and then that would mean that those two would flip. And so you would have one particular team sit there and assume the license of another. And this isn't the first time that this has happened. I think Mazatlan was the last time it happened, but there's the possibility now that it could happen again. we'll get into that. So, yeah, Wall Pass Wednesdays all over the place. It's USMNT, it's Sacramento, it's Mo Salah, it's Liga MX, it's NWSL, and Major League Soccer, all in 2 hours. So that's kind of where we are this morning. All right. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting your day with the most important stories in the game. Right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala. Heavy bodied, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. Morning, David. Morning, Abby. And we now have the MLS All-Star Game officially announced and the 6 players that get called up. And so, yes, we're getting into the actual names and numbers of folks that called up. I know that Abby had asked, and I had heard 3, and it is now doubled to 6, and this for Atlanta United call-ups. And this also includes players that are called up to U20s and things like that. And so it is Galarza, Almiron, Luke Brennan for the U's, Santi Pita, Cooper Sanchez, Aiden Torres. And so you have Almiron and Galarza for Paraguay and taking on Greece in Athens. That doesn't suck. March 27th, and then moving to Morocco and taking on moving to Lens, France, and taking on Morocco on the 31st. Speaking of Lens, we got to get into that too. Lens and PSG and Ligue 1 having a bit of a to-do about scheduling. So that reminds me on that. So we got to talk about that before we go as well. So, all right. So it is Almiron and Galarza joining Paraguay for friendlies. March 27th in Athens, and then going to Lens, France to take on Morocco on the 31st. So that is those 2 are heading overseas. Luke Brennan is going to the U21s, and that training camp started 2 days ago in South Korea. And they're going to have matches against Japan's U21 on the 27th, local time, 2 a.m. for us. Then it's going to be against the South Korea's U23s, March the 31st, 6 a.m. local time, and 7 o'clock theirs. So meaning our local time, 6 o'clock in the morning. So if you can find a stream, it's probably on FIFA Plus. But the U21s for Luke Brennan, March 27, very, very early in the morning in South Korea, Korea Republic, March 31st. Not as early as the other one, not as middle of the night-ish, but still pretty early in the morning. So Brennan now has represented the United States at the U19 and U20. He's going to take have reps at the 21s, 12 appearances, 1+3 with the U20s, and a member of the squad that reached the FIFA U20 World Cup. Santi Pita called up to Venezuela's U20 side for a training camp in Porlamar, Venezuela. 3 appearances, and he's got a goal for the U20s, represented the U.S. at U18, U19. Then you have Cooper Sanchez called up for the U18s for the Torneo Internacional de Lisboa. So he's in Portugal, and they will take on Iceland on the 26th. Not as bad local time. I mean, like if you're up at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'd probably catch the second half. And then it is Morocco on the 28th and Portugal on the 31st. And so that's a tournament in Lisbon, Portugal. And that is now 10 appearances for Cooper Sanchez in the U17s, 3 appearances at the 2025 U17 World Cup. Aiden Torres called up for Puerto Rico's national team for the FIFA Series matches against Guam and Puerto Rico on the 25th. And he is seeking his first appearance for Puerto Rico. So it is 2 for Paraguay. It is Brennan for the U21s, Santi Pita, Venezuela U20, Cooper Sanchez U18s, and Aiden Torres, Puerto Rico national team. So we are efforting, and I'm hoping that we can make this happen. We are efforting conversations with coaches and hopefully players overseas. South Korea is going to be, that's going to be all the way, halfway around the world. So what was the time difference there? It was so it's 13-hour difference with South Korea. So 13 hours with South Korea, and currently for Portugal, it's 4. And then they're going to have a time change this weekend to get it back to how is it 4-hour time difference? For So 5. Okay, so it's going to be 4, and then this weekend they do spring forward overseas, and then it turns into 5. So we're efforting. Probably, I would say Portugal might be the better catch-up that we have next week with the U's on the USMNT side of things, the U.S. national team side of things. So we're efforting South Korea, efforting Portugal, we're efforting what's going on. So we just have to figure out the logistics to make it all happen. But yeah, so 6 Atlanta United players are for one team or another, one age level or another. They're exercising their international wings in this particular window. So very, very cool that it is up to 6. And obviously we're keeping an eye on Luke Brennan, keeping an eye on Cooper Sanchez and Santi Pita, Aiden Torres, and Matias Galarza, and with Miggy Almiron. So that is that's the rundown there. So now they finally have it posted. Every call up in the window, they finally have it posted at MLSsoccer.com. So it's 6 for United, 5 for Austin, 2 for Charlotte. Chicago Fire has 7. Cincinnati has 8. And this is, various age levels. So this isn't just like national team call up, senior national teams. 5 in Colorado. It is 6 in Columbus, 6 in Dallas, 4 in D.C., 1 for the Dynamo, 2 for LAG, 7 in LAFC. Inter Miami had 11, I believe. So, yes, Messi and friends had Messi and 10 of his friends called up. Minnesota United had 4. Montreal had 7. Nashville had 6. The Revs had 7. Red Bulls had 4. NYC with 7. Orlando City, the purple team, had 7. Philly had 6. Portland 4. RSL 3. San Diego had 7. San Jose had 4. Seattle 5. Sporting and St. Louis City each had 1. Toronto had 4, and Vancouver had 7 in the window. So that is that's the rundown of who got called and who's doing what where. So that's your rundown of what you get to kind of keep your eyes on for the entire window. So let's see. The MLS All-Star game has been announced. Landon Donovan's in the TST. Noah Cobb got called up for the 21s. Colton Swan gets called up from Charleston for the U20s, playing friendlies in Argentina. So let's see if those friendlies were in Argentina or not. Were those friendlies in Argentina? Let's check, because they are all over the place when it comes to the U's. And let me find out. Like I said, just trying to track down stuff in South Korea and Portugal was going to be interesting. So, all right. So U.S. Soccer national teams, as we go here, click on it, John. That would give it to you. So let's see, USMNT home. So youth, I think technically would be a 20. So U19s and U20s. Hang on. So sitting here and trying to scan it. U19s are in Spain for theirs. U20 championship, U19 takes on Wales on March 28th. And they're preparing for the CONCACAF U20 championship, serving as qualification for the 27 World Cup in Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan. And they are preparing the largest stadium in the country, in Uzbekistan, in Tashkent. I think it's supposed to be 55,000, and you'll see like the construction photos and things like that, because while they have the FIFA tournament, the group tournament that involves Uzbekistan and Trinidad and Tobago and Gabon as 3 of the 4, they're constructing the major national stadium there in the country. So Jeremy Hall named his 20 players for the U18s, 20 players called to the U21s. So Rob Valentino, thank you, Dell, for that. And we are also efforting an interview with Rob just to kind of catch up with things and find out what's up. So let's see. Rob Valentino is in Argentina at the Presidio Deportivo, the Lionel Andres Messi, and they're taking on Atletico Independiente's reserves. Okay, so Villa Dominico Independiente, and Swan is the only one from the USL. So that is our national team update. That's opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee, blackpitchcoffee.com. Starting the day with the most important stories of the game. Right way to start your morning. Black Pitch Coffee, part of the SDH community, showing up at events all over Atlanta. Try their home blend made with beans from Brazil and Guatemala, heavy-bodied, notes of walnut, semi-sweet chocolate, and a rich world-class finish. Opening kickoff, presented by our friends at Black Pitch Coffee and blackpitchcoffee.com. So that is the rundown of the national team stuff, and at least from outside the United States. Inside the United States, up at the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta training ground, they're busy, because they have Belgium, or as Will McAvoy called it, Belgium and Portugal coming here to Atlanta over the next week, and the weekend, and then on Tuesday next week. So as they are going through all of their paces, and Mauricio Pochettino has the 27 that he's looking at, they have the opportunity to catch up with the assembled media. There's a mixed zone opportunity for us this morning. I believe it's going on right now, or it just ended about 5 minutes ago. And then after practice, there's going to be another availability, and that should be posted, and we will see if we can catch up with that tomorrow. I thought I wrote down who was in the mix zone, but it was mentioned, and I don't have it written. But anyway, Alex Freeman, Christian Roldan, they got to answer questions from the assembled media yesterday. And a really interesting question that was posed was, what have each one of them learned from the other, from observing, from conversations, all those kinds of things. And so it was an interesting question posed to kind of have each one of them look at the other. So here's your answer. Christian Roldan is first. Alex Freeman is second, courtesy of our friends at US Soccer and Baritone. What do they see in the other? And what's it been like to kind of compare notes with one another when it comes to seeing them out there with the national team?
Yeah, I think the first moment I saw Alex, I saw a lot of potential, and so being able to tap into that potential is something that I've seen Alex do over the course of 10 months. It obviously warranted a huge move to Villarreal. So for me, just his ability to tap into his potential, his athleticism allows him to, play different parts of the field, but also his ability to play, right, to have the ball at his feet. I think that is such an underrated part of his game. His ability to find guys in the midfield, wiggle out of pressure, dribble out of pressure when the time comes. He really is a complete player. He brings a lot to the team, and I'm excited for him. I hope that he continues to grow at Villarreal. But again, it's going to take a whole lot for him to see the field. The level of competition is very high over there, but I fully expect him to tap into even more of his potential, grow as a player, be uncomfortable in certain situations, so that he continues to grow.
Yeah, and for me, Christian's been kind of that guy that I can talk to, right? I feel like when you go to one of the leaders on the team, I think one of the first names I think of is Christian Roldan, right? And I feel like, knowing that he's a leader and just knowing that he's been great in MLS, right? Especially when I was first in the academy and first going into the first team and trying to fit in, Christian Roldan was kind of that guy you kind of knew, when you thought of MLS vets and MLS players that, were always consistently performing, right? And just, again, to now experience that with him as a teammate, I think it's something that, I'm grateful for, and I think it's cool to see that leadership, firsthand, right in front of you. So, and I've been talking to Christian off the field. He's a great person, and sadly in MLS we did not get to play against each other. But I think overall, I think it's good that I'm able to play with him now and just experience that kind of thing, growing up and watching him. So, yeah.
Alex Freeman and Christian Roldan at the assembled media yesterday and what they've seen in each other. Remember, this is final auditions. Barring somebody coming in from lane 8 or someone that was not in camp, this is what you're staring at. Once again, remember, no Serginho Dest, no Tyler Adams, and no Haji Wright because of injuries. Diego Luna had missed the first handful of matches this year with the knee injury, 19 minutes of action for RSL last weekend. And remember, last year, Diego Luna had played in 17 of 18 in 2025. And so Mauricio Pochettino was asked about it. And he said that they're in complete contact with RSL's coaching staff, performance, and medical. Information that we have is he struggled a little bit to get into form, end quote. Also, Alex Zendejas, who scored in the 2-0 win over Japan back in September. Goal and assist in his last 3 matches for Club America, coming back from injury. Pochettino was asked about him and just in general, and he goes, everyone is saying that maybe this is the last opportunity, but it's not closed. It's still open, not the final roster. Gio Reyna specifically, they said they need to assess because November to March is a long, long period. Still need to assess Zendejas. Pochettino says that he knows him very well. I know he can adapt, dynamic of the group. I know very well how he can work. And then Noah Kai Banks, not on the list after saying he wanted to leave the door open for the German national team. And it is a decision for a 19-year-old to try and figure out, okay, what do I want to do? What are my next steps? What are my next steps? And so Noah Kai Banks is going to be looking at that. Morning Ricky. And we will have a bit of coverage on Sacramento coming up in a bit. So Noah Kai Banks played youth national, took part in the September camp, didn't see any action. And so Noah Kai Banks, he's got some things to think about. Pochettino says he's not concerned with Christian Pulisic's 2.5-month scoring drought. Weston McKennie was part of only one of the 3 fall camps, but he's been doing well with Juve. And this camp's going to give Pochettino a chance to determine McKinney's best role. Jedi back in camp after missing all of 25 because of injury. And then you have Chris Brady and Roman Celentano. And remember, Roman Celentano, he was in initially, and then Celentano was in, and then he was removed, and then Patrick Schulte is in, and Celentano was injury concern. So Pat Noonan and FC Cincinnati kind of thinking forward a little bit when it came to Roman Celentano. So the roster coming in, Brady, Schulte, Freese, and Turner in net. Defenders, Arvston, Freeman, McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Jedi, Miles Robinson, Joe Scally, Austin Trusty. Miles Robinson is a part of the Q&A sessions available for the media today. We'll have that for you tomorrow. Midfield, Sebastian Berhalter, Johnny, Weston McKennie, Aiden Morris, Gio Reyna, Christian Roldan, Tanner Tessman, Malik Tillman. Forwards, Aronson, Big Pat, Fleuren Balogun, Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic, Tim Weah. The player that has the least number of caps that is in this camp is Austin Trusty with 5 position players. Chris Brady has not been capped. And then you have from there Matt Freese, who has 13, Alex Freeman with 13, Max Arvston with 16, a lot of them coming in 25. Austin Trusty with 5, Sebastian Berhalter with 9, Aiden Morris with 13, Tanner Tessman with 12, and Big Pat with 12. So that's what you're staring at for these 2 matches. It's an opportunity for Mauricio Pochettino to kind of look at things, see how they're going to respond, and how they're going to go up against Belgium and Portugal. Belgium and Portugal coming up, on the weekend, and then again on Tuesday. Don't forget, we're going to be at the Brew House on Friday and Monday to kind of hang out with you and have your questions and see what it's going to look like and see what your questions and concerns are, expectations, all the things as we get you ready for Belgium and Portugal. And so we'll have an eye on those, and we'll let you know what's going on with all of them peoples as we go here, and we let you know what's going on. So I just wanted to check the juice boxes quickly just to kind of let you know what we are staring at with the U.S. The U.S. right now hadn't budged a whole lot. It is U.S. at a plus 188, draws a plus 250. Belgium is a plus 135. And remember, no Leandro Trossard for Belgium because of injury there. So no Trossard to be on the receiving end of interaction from Kevin De Bruyne. So no Trossard to have to think about for the matchup on the weekend. So that's kind of like your daily update involving the USMNT as they get ready for anything and everything. Yes, sidebar. We will be there covering them. And we will be there. I believe it's going to be me and Maddie and Sophia. We will be in the building on Saturday and Tuesday. So we will have as full a coverage as we can for all of the activity that is going to be happening on Saturday and Tuesday. So yeah, we will be in the building doing our coverage, and we'll have just set your notifications for everything that is on socials. If you haven't already, make sure that you're lined up for our notifications. When something goes live, you'll know about it, whether it's before the whistle, whether it's just normal coverage, written word, hi, we're here, those kinds of things. Just set your notifications, and we'll be in the building. And if we're there bright and early, you'll know. If we're there late, you'll know. And if you're going down there to park, go in groups, because looking at the parking fees for the Belgium match, I have not seen them for Tuesday in Portugal, but the parking fees that are being posted are insane. Not necessarily a surprise, but they're still insane. So if you're going, go MARTA. Or if you're going to drive and you're going to tailgate, go in a group. Take a big car and go in a group, because the prices are insane. Some prices are even triple digits depending on the deck that you want to try and get into. And so this is kind of a precursor to what it might be come the matches in the summer. If you're going, take a big car, take a lot of people. Treat it like you're going to the drive-in. I mean, of course, I just dated myself. For those of us that would go to drive-in movies growing up, what we used to do was we would either hide in the back seat of the car and try not to be seen by the ticket taker so we could smuggle more people in, or we would go in a rather large vehicle so that way we could have fun, open tailgates, and sit on the roof and things like that. And so, yes, this is in the days of black and white television and movable type. Think the same thing. If you're going as a group in tailgating, make sure that your car can fit both your tailgating gear and all your people. And it still could cost you $20 to $25 a person to park, depending on where you want to park. If you want to walk, you can walk from the other side of Centennial Olympic Park, and it's like $25 in some places. But the closer that you get to the Atlanta Stadium that will not have its roof logo removed, I don't think you'll see a whole lot of roof shots, but you won't have that logo removed. There was a good article by Henry Bushnell at The Athletic about certain stadia and how they're trying to navigate the idea of all of their signage. And MBS was one of them. So that top spindle, that's not going to be have any removal of the logo, but it will still be Atlanta Stadium. So that is something to keep an eye on. Just make sure that if you're going in a group. Take a big car, go in a group. If you want to park close, if you don't mind walking, maybe you can get in your normal size car. Just take MARTA. If you're not tailgating, take MARTA. If you're catching up with friends, take MARTA. It's smarter. They say so. But if you're going as a group, go as a group. Abby, smart play. Bought her parking a long time ago. Smart play. Well done. So smart play, Abby. And that was definitely the way to go, and get it in, get it done early, and forget the rate of inflation. Because as we get closer, you know that you're going to have things increase in price. Earlier you get stuff done, So we'll keep an eye out for that. Just and by the way, just as we go through, like on Monday, or if you buy your ticket, if you buy your parking on Friday or Monday, let us know how much you had to pay. If you're comfortable saying it, let us know how much you had to pay, just to get an idea for rate of inflation and availability and proximity and all those kinds of things. So keep an eye out for that. There you go. All right, that was like I said, that was your USMNT for the day. Like I said, the rest of the day we're going to talk about some dude that is hanging it up a year early from his current club. We'll get into that. But since we're kind of here domestically, we'll stick domestic. Yesterday, folks in Sacramento made the rounds. And it was to announce that they are unveiling the plans, and the pictures are out there. 20,000 seat stadium. For the longest time, Sacramento has tried to do something at the rail yards, and it is, no offense to Hard Health Stadium, but they wanted to do something bigger. They wanted to do live, work, play. They wanted to do the large economic development that we're seeing in USL and the USL Championship in League One and all of those places. So yesterday, Sacramento came out with their renderings, and they had folks make the tour to kind of break everything down. I'm going to play for you an interview from ABC 10 in Sacramento, and it was a conversation that Walt Gray had with Scott Moak, who's VP of Business Ops and Community Affairs. So basically, Scott came into ABC 10, and he caught up with Walt Gray. And Walt Gray is a well-known, well-respected veteran of Sacramento media. So I'm going to play this conversation, and there was one little tweak in there, like a bit of a rib that I wanted to address, and that Ricky has brought into the timeline. That's the comment from the mayor on the backside. So here's the conversation that was had with Walt Gray from ABC 10 and Scott Moak from Sacramento Republic about the announcement of the renderings and the plans of this mega development that is hopefully finally, if you're a Sacramento Republic person, getting on the board. And it was interesting to hear this one little section that goes into what Ricky was talking about here in the timeline. Here's your conversation, once again, courtesy of our friends at ABC 10.
Today, new renderings of the highly anticipated stadium for Sacramento Republic FC have been unveiled. We're joined by Scott Moak with Sacramento Republic FC. Scott, good to have you here. So let me ask you this. The first thing that came to my mind, a larger stadium than we thought, 20,000. What is it? Is there something you want to tell us about MLS at this point? Because this stadium is perfectly sized now for the MLS.
Well, we gotta get into the dirt. We got concrete to pour. We got lots of things that have to happen. Clearly, we're going to be open. We're going to take those phone calls as they come in, but we have to be focused on the project at hand, which, as you know, and as you said, much bigger, means you actually now can invite all the people who love you in Sacramento, and they can all ascend to watch a game at one time. 20,000 people.
Yeah, thank you. You're very kind. So the original blueprint was 12,000. Yeah. With the possibility maybe at some time it would get bigger, but it got bigger already. What was the reason for that?
Yeah, I mean, the tribe, Wilton Rancheria, Jesus Trango, and Chris Franklin really realized that this was a moment, this was an opportunity for them, for the region, to go bigger and to truly revitalize that area that we've been looking at in those rail yards for so long. All those acres of just dirt and opportunity, they took the opportunity to jump on it. They're going to infuse, I mean, right up front, close to $1 billion in investment, all privately funded, taking care of the stadium, all the surrounding development, and bring this to Sacramento, because this is what Sacramento deserves. We know that. You've been here longer than me. This is what this city has wanted and deserves. So
I think the private funding thing is a real
big
nice
deal.
ring to a lot of people's ears. So it can hold 20,000 for soccer. It can go to 27,000
That's right.
For concerts. What would you envision besides soccer and concerts that the facility will be used for?
Yeah, I mean, we want to be ready for anything. A football championship, a soccer championship, NCAA soccer championship calls up. We're going to take that call as well. So we want it to be ready and agile for all of those opportunities that come up. We're obviously entering in World Cup zone here pretty quick with soccer. We know that there's opportunities that came with that. We weren't ready. The region didn't really have what we needed to make us a destination there. Well, that's different nowadays. So, and when this stadium ultimately is built, it will change that discussion.
So let's say it's a United Soccer League for a couple of years in this particular stadium. I've often described the Republic games as a beer blast that also includes soccer.
There you go.
The whole vibe is a lot of fun.
It is.
And will that stadium work for if it's just USL for a while?
You bet. Yeah,
Okay.
We're ready to do that. We know the fans are already there. They're ready to come and continue to cheer, continue to drink a little beer, like you said. I think when a lot of people experience the Republic for the first time, I think they're just overwhelmed with this is such a fun time. I had no idea.
It is.
We hear that over and over and over. So now the fact that we're going to be in a place that looks like this, that has all the amenities, premium, of course. There's going to be amazing suites and premium spaces and pitch side opportunities for people to come and sit. Yeah, we call pitch side, grass side, field side. I don't know. We got to work on that.
We understand the slippage since you're the public address announcer for the Kings, so it all works the same.
And so there's the conversation that was had with Walt and with Scott Moak. And Scott was the individual that was given the opportunity to go to as many of the television stations as humanly possible. And so Scott went to KCRA, went to ABC 10, and this was the longer conversation of those two. Now, Kevin McCarty, the mayor of Sacramento, came out with a statement saying that the Sacramento Republic FC Stadium centerpiece of the rail yards boosts our economic growth. First and foremost, the fact that it's all private dollars. I think that's big, to where you're not on the government dole, and that Wilton Rancheria, they want to make sure that live, work, play is all theirs. They don't want any kind of encumbrance, and it's like, it's ours. We're investing the money, and this is how it's going to be. So then Mayor McCarty goes, beyond that, the stadium brings more life and more fun to Sacramento and our core. The city is very excited to welcome the larger stadium, allowing more fans to see a professional soccer game in person. We also know that an MLS opportunity is on the horizon. Okay, so if he feels that they're already on the horizon, there are a couple of things to stare at here. First and foremost, would the folks from Wilton Rancheria, would they expand from 20,000? We'll go over the numbers in a bit. You know how I feel about 20,000. I think that for USL, I think that that's probably a solid number. For Major League Soccer, I think that you're selling yourself short. And once again, this is not to be any kind of a slight toward USL Championship, USL Premier, however you want to phrase top division, the top division that's coming that would institute pro rail, all of those things. So when you look at the conversation, the conversation dug in at ABC 10 off the top. You heard the discussion about Major League Soccer with Scott, and Scott deflected it really well with Walt Gray. Question was raised once again when he went over to Channel 3 about Major League Soccer. So the question is, when you look at expansion fees, the expansion fee for San Diego FC, and I want to get this right, so the folks in Sacramento kind of know what they're chasing here. So the San Diego FC expansion fee, when they were brought in, was $500 million. $500 million in an expansion fee. Would the current administration at Wilton Rancheria, in addition to wanting to drop $1 billion on this particular element of Sacramento, will the Wilton Rancheria, the tribe of the Miwok of Northern California, the Eastern Miwok, would they want to put in at least $500 million more to try and get into Major League Soccer? Considering what has been going on involving, we thought we had it, we didn't, then all of the discussions with expansion fees, and then notes, and then, okay, what if we send you, what if we send you this, and then, okay, what about the follow-up, and then it's not sent. So Kevin Nagel, remember, was the managing partner when all of this started, and then, okay, hey, how about this fee, and then how about this, and how about this, and then when it came to going down the line. They couldn't get the rail yards figured out. Wilton Rancheria now is the majority owner. Kevin Nagel's a managing partner. And if Wilton Rancheria is going to be putting forth $1 billion for this live, work, play rail yards project at 20,000 seats for soccer, 27 for other events, would they be in a position for a $750 million expansion fee? Just as a number, just to kind of spitball an idea. Would the Miwok, would Wilton Rancheria be interested? Would they have the financials to do something like that? 14 acres, 500,000 square feet, 20 different seating products. Jesus Tarango, chairman of Wilton Rancheria, as a tribe of firsts, we're proud to deliver a 20,000-plus seat soccer-first stadium, largest professional sports and entertainment venue in the region, home where community comes together and our collective future takes shape. Remembering the conversation with Walt, it was initially mentioned at 12, and then consider expanding as a part of phase 2. 20 is a lot more than 12. And you're looking at that right now. Is it expandable from 20? That would be my first question. Or is it 20? Locked in, 20,000, that's it. Back in November, Sacramento submitted an application to the city, the Republic, paved the way for the larger stadium. Paperwork stated at the time the earliest the stadium could open under those plans would be March of 28. Ground prep began in August. Sacramento brought on Pegasus Development to lead the efforts on rail yards. Pegasus was involved in building a casino that was owned by Wilton Rancheria, so that makes sense. And so the deflection of the idea of, okay, let's bring in Major League Soccer might be putting the cart before the horse. I think that if you are Sacramento Republic and if you are Wilton Rancheria, I think that I was looking at this, and like I said, I could be completely wrong. I was looking at this as Sacramento looking at the idea of USL Premier. That's where I was going with it. That's what I was looking at. I was thinking that if it's ready for 28, USL Premier, let me see, when would they want to trot out the Premier League? So, all right, so USL Premier, that new top flight that USL announced back in January late. So when they announced this structure of Premier Championship League One, single national table, 20 clubs scheduled to launch in 28. That's from the league. That's from USL back in late January. So if the earliest that the rail yards project could come online would be 28, and USL Premier is supposed to come online in 28, then that's where I was going with this idea. I was not, because of the amount of times that Sacramento Republic had tried to connect with Major League Soccer, and for whatever reason, financially and timing and all that stuff, it never came to work out. This is where I was going. I was going with the notion that this was to line them up for USL Premier. Now, remember, USL Premier, you're supposed to have a certain number of clubs, and it's supposed to be 12 to start, I believe. It's either 12 or 14. You're supposed to have the eventual goal of 20, but it's 12 to 14 is where you're supposed to start when it comes to Division I sanctioning. This is where I was thinking they were going. I thought that this was to set them up for USL Premier. Everyone in town's talking MLS, MLS, MLS. But if Wilton Rancheria is investing $1 billion in the project, to create a 20,000 seat stadium and then 27 for entertainment and so on. I was under the impression that this was where they were going with this, was USL Premier, because it's $1 billion already that you're footing on the deal. And that if you were looking in that direction to have something online by 28, then to me, I thought that they would be looking at this, meaning USL Premier, and being one of those franchises there, considering to get into Major League Soccer would probably cost them at minimum $750 million. Does Wilton Rancheria have that? Do they want to spend that kind of money in addition to the $1 billion that they're putting into the project at the rail yards? Or do you want to be a fish in a pond, or do you want to be one of the big fishes in a new pond? And I thought that this was where this was steering. You announce the stadium project at the rail yards finally. You get to 20,000. You've cleared the Division I sanction, the Division I guideline for capacity. And you turn yourself into one of the big dogs, first in the door, maybe, for USL Premier. I thought this was where they were going with this. All of the discussion about Major League Soccer, and all the swings and misses that had happened previously. The swings and misses by the anchors and reporters in Sacramento seems to have been ignored, and they're just like, hey, what about Major League Soccer? I specifically thought that this was where they were heading, was USL Premier, and being one of the first mentions in USL Premier. This is where I thought they were going with this. And I think that this is where the question should go to Scott Moak and to Wilton Rancheria and to Kevin Nagel and to anyone associated with the Rail Yards project, and to Tampa, frankly, for USL. So that, to me, is where the line of questioning should go. While I appreciate what the anchors and everyone in Sacramento were doing when it came to steering the questions, and what I appreciate Kevin McCarty, the mayor of Sacramento, doing with his statement, considering the level of investment that Wilton Rancheria is putting into this project, I thought that they were chasing after USL Premier to be one of those first announced teams that would be a part of this project. Like I said, this is just me taking the information as it's being presented and looking at their place in USL, the unsuccessful negotiations with Major League Soccer in the past, the amount that an expansion fee would be to get into Major League Soccer, in addition to what Wilton Rancheria wants to do with this project. I was thinking this is steered more for USL Premier. But we'll go ahead and look at stadium capacities in USL right now. So by stadium capacity in USL Championship, and this does not include clubs that are going to be online. Protective in Birmingham is at 47-1. If Legion wanted to go, they could go. Pitbull, basically Florida International, sorry. Florida International has 20. Lynn Family's at 15-3 that can be expanded to 20. Oakland Roots is at 15. The Lab for Albuquerque and New Mexico United is at 13-5, and they have just had another referendum approved to where New Mexico United is looking to create their own soccer-specific stadium. So that movement is going down the road too. It would not surprise me if they were another USL Premier candidate. Cashman's at 12-5. Seats are 93-34. The Mike in Indianapolis at Uipui is at 12-111. Hodges for the University of North Florida right now is where Sporting Jacks plays there at 12,000. And remember, they're building their own soccer-specific facility. Wouldn't surprise me if Sporting Jacks went to Premier. Hard Health right now is at 11,569 in Sacramento, and they're building a 20. So 20 would put them instantly in their own They would be at the top of capacity for soccer-specific stadia in USL Championship. They would be number 2 in capacity in USL Championship, regardless of event. Protective being number 1 at 47,000, but 20,000 would put them at number 2. Number 1 for soccer-specific in the league. Centerville Banks at 10.5 for Rhode Island FC. The Modular Stadium at Phoenix at 34th and Washington is 10,000. El Paso Southwest University Park is 7,500 plus 2,000. San Antonio's at 8,300. Widener is at 8,000. Keyworth is at 7,900. And remember, they're building their own, the abandoned hospital site. So I think that might be their play toward USL Premier. 1OK is at 78. Lex SC is at 75. Wouldn't surprise me with all the investment in infrastructure if Lex SC tried to go to Premier, but they would have to expand their stadium. And I believe it is a modular where it is fairly easy to replicate. Al Lang's 72. Maimonides Park for Brooklyn FC's at 7,000. Cardinal at Cal State Monterey Bay's at 6. Trinity Health in Hartford is modular at 5,500. Patriots Point, as Del knows, is at 5. Championship Soccer Complex in Irvine is 5. Sure. And Segra in Leesburg is at 5. So Ricky poses the question, but honestly, I think that it would be if they were interested. And Miami is building their own down at Homestead. So the ones that would make sense to go to Premier, in addition to the clubs that are coming into the league. So who is coming into the league in the near future? And Ricky, I've bookmarked your point. Coming into the league, Dallas, Milwaukee, Reno, Santa Barbara, Iowa, and OKC. So OKC is building their own barn. Atletico Dallas can pretty much play anywhere. I think they're headed to Premier. Milwaukee's coming in, Reno's coming back, Santa Barbara, fall started, and it looks like they're starting next year, we think. So you've got to get to 12 to 14 before you get the waiver, and you're eventually trying to head to 20. I think they might start at 10 to try to get to 12 or 14, but then there is a waiver that U.S. Soccer will give you for Division I sanctioning. Hey, if you start at this number and then you're on your way to this number, then we'll conditionally okay your sanction. So, and then you look at the capacities. I would say that Dallas would be up there in that number. And what we might do is look at when Dylan joins us. I want to talk expansion with Dylan. I know that he doesn't know that we're going to do that, but I want to talk expansion with Dylan to kind of walk through this idea. So MLS expansion. All right. So MLS expansion plans. So if we were to, once again, extrapolate how it goes. So January 25, it was, 30. You're looking at 30. And so what is an MLS expansion team? Well, it's somebody that's new. Hello. So you're at 30. Do you go to 32? And then if you go to 32, question was, according to Don Garber in 25, will there be more franchises? Answer, yes. Ahead of the 24 All-Star game, Don Garber said, quote, if there's a good market for us to expand in, if that market makes sense, if we have the right owner and the right stadium plan, I think like any league, we would consider strongly expanding beyond the 30 teams that we have now. That's what he said at the 2024 All-Star game. Expansion fee for any new teams would exceed 500. Mentioned Indianapolis as a potential candidate for expansion. Once again, this is back in like 24th, the All-Star game. Folks in Indiana are bullish. Expanded by about 20 teams over the last 25 years, so we understand how to manage the process. And so he mentioned Indy back in 24. Like I said, the only other market that were mentioned. So if we go to Christmas of 25, and Ron Burkle and Kevin Nagel, and they tried. So most signs point to the league eventually growing to 32. Assuming it does, so then you're looking at 2 spots available. Phoenix, Vegas, Detroit. And then, as Paul Tenorio wrote, time, Sacramento remains an intriguing option. And so we bring in Dylan, and we have it's a wall pass Wednesday, Dylan, and I know that this shocks you. But we kind of have gone down the Sacramento rabbit hole a little bit. And we started to mention what happened yesterday where the Republic were making the rounds, and they've announced the 20,000 seat stadium project, the rail yards, finally, apparently, possibly, probably coming online with our friends from Wilton Rancheria footing the bill for live, work, play, and $1 billion and a stadium that is not even the size of Dillon Butler Estates. It would be 20,000. So the question is, and this kind of goes into all of the talk that was raised by anchors that had to be deflected by the Republic and then brought by the mayor yesterday, Kevin McCarty. He's like, okay, MLS, So if MLS is going to 32, which Don Garber said was a possibility and a probability, not necessarily an eventuality, but yeah, if somebody's going to come to the table, we're not going to tell them no. Where do you think 31 and 32 could come from? Because I thought that the play for rail yards was more USL Premier-ish and be one of the big dogs there, because they're not coming online until 28 and USL Premier is not coming online until 28. I thought that was where this was steering, and everybody else in Sacramento is going, oh, MLS, MLS, MLS. For 31 and 32, where do you think the league goes? And hi, yeah, good morning on that topic.
Morning. Yeah. I always kind of thought Vegas would be in that mix, with the way that town is becoming a professional sports town, right? So I always thought that would be a market that would potentially be it. Sacramento obviously was always kind of in discussion, right? Too many California teams. I don't know. But I mean, it is a different, part of California, I guess. If you have 2 teams out west, does that now mess up the balance? You could always move a team.
Yeah, just ask the Brewers.
Yeah. True. Yeah, so maybe those 2. I don't really, we're pretty on this side of the world. I think I'm trying to think just off the top of my head about East Coast, or I think we're good here, right? Like I
mean,
Midwest. I don't.
Because the Haslams are already tapped into Columbus.
Yeah.
And if they do anything in Cleveland, my guess is it would be NWSL, which has been chased, and they just added MLS Next Pro in Cleveland, technically a couple weeks ago. So we were looking at TV market, and you're going, you're pretty much covered top 40, if not top 50 TV market, short of a quad market in Pennsylvania. You're pretty much covered in your top 50 markets. And unless you have someone who has the same kind of thought pattern that Anthony Precourt did about how Austin was going to grow to where they are now, I don't know what that market is, but it's, you're looking at maybe Sacramento, if they want to invest another $1 billion in an expansion fee on top of the $1 billion that they're going to be putting in on this project. You're looking at Phoenix, maybe, if they want to go down that road. Vegas and Detroit. Those are the only places I can think
Detroit, for sure.
Well, and, Detroit, that would be, you continue to build downtown. So for me, it would be some combination of Detroit, Phoenix, Vegas, Sacramento, and then you're looking at, okay, where are you going to put the stadium? Are you going to play at Ford? Is Ford wide enough for that to happen? Are you going to build soccer specific? Phoenix, like I said, they play at 34th in Washington right now. It's modular, and they play at like 2:00 in the morning in the middle of summer. You've got to be climate controlled, I guess, if you're in Phoenix. You've got to be soccer specific, I would imagine, unless you're going to play at Chase to start things out while you're building. There are a lot of questions here, but I would think that those four would be it. But I just thought that yesterday seemed to me that Sacramento was gearing up more toward to be one of the first ones in the door to sit there and say, "Hi, we're USL Premier. We're one of the top dogs." That just seems like, hey, we're the first one in the door on this venture for USL, considering all the hits and misses that Burkle and Nagel had trying to get into MLS in the first place.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely something to kind of, it's intriguing, right? Like where that whole thing pans out. I don't know, in Vegas, can you just play in the Sphere? It feels like that's what everything
See
is.
now that. Well, or if could you project, could you just play there on the stage and have the outside of the Sphere sit there and raise an eyebrow and be like a soccer ball or something?
Yeah.
But if you did 20 as a capacity, if you did that as your capacity, then that would put you dead blank and last. I mean, Dylan Butler Estates is going to be north of 20. It's going to be like what, 22, right?
Yeah.
So you're not dead last. You're still like sixth from the bottom. So you're like 23rd or 24th. But 20,000, if you're Sacramento, puts you 31st in capacity. And do you want to go in at 20? Like I said, I've always thought that to be new, you got to be 30 because of what soccer is becoming here in this country. And I just, I appreciate the enthusiasm of folks in Sacramento about saying MLS, 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 but I just think that I thought they were going in another direction with Stadium in 28, MLS, USL Premier in 28. I thought that sounded like where they were headed with this, and not everybody sitting there going, ooh, shiny object, MLS, 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 not knowing that it's going to be another $750 million probably to get in the door after San Diego paid $500.
Yeah, there's that too. Right?
I mean, I don't have it laying around. I don't know who does. And so you're literally looking at basically a $2 billion investment in infrastructure and rights fees and expansion fees and buildings before even becoming Team 31.
Yeah, before a player is even signed.
And then you got to sign the players, and then you got to figure out what your roster is going to look like. And are you going to try to bring in, Mbappe or Bellingham or whomever to be that marquee dude? Yeah. And you're going to have to overpay to bring in talent in Sacramento, no offense. But if you want to bring in a big dog, unless he's Cascadia tried and true, you're going to have to overpay to bring in a big name to be Sacramento, to BE, big letters, to be Sacramento. So, I mean, it was cool that Sacramento wanted to do what they want to do, finally. And that puts them, I guess, in line to be one of the four, to be the two for 31 and 32. It seems, I thought that the question should have been more directed toward USL and USL Premier in Tampa as opposed to Major League Soccer after all the swings and misses that they had.
Sure, no, that makes sense.
So anyway, that was where we were this morning. Before we actually get into MLS, Mo Salah, I have to ask you about that. Being the Premier League person that you are, Mo Salah decides he's going to tear up his contract a year early. I'm walking away from all this money, and I'm leaving Liverpool at the end of this season, so they have the opportunity to give a runway for a send-off. What did you think?
I'm not surprised. I think you kind of saw this as a possibility when he was left off the team early in the season, and there was a tension, and he's training on the side, and then he's welcomed back, but I think that was the that was kind of the beginning, I think, of the end of this. And now to me, I mean, look, his legacy is what it is, and he is a club legend there, and what he has done for Liverpool has been outstanding. But now the question, right, is where does he go next?
Uh-huh.
And I think there's it's really two landing spots here. It's two leagues that do compete for players, right? Major League Soccer and the Saudi League.
Yeah.
I think the Saudi League certainly, for various reasons, could could certainly spend more.
I'm thinking just a bit.
But it is, there's always also, once those rumors started at the beginning, there was talk of San Diego, right? And that possibility, and so that's to me what is intriguing here.
Because I believe that Sir Mohammed Mansour and Mo Salah, they have a relationship. They know each other. They're buds. So if you swung and missed on Chucky Lozano, and then the question is, and I don't know how much of a give back this is going to be, but considering how San Diego FC has been built, and it is looking and building through the spine and looking for players that aren't going to break the bank, and then you sit there and then you make a key pickup in an Anders Dreyer. Obviously, if Sir Mohammed wants to come down to the pitch and tell Mikey, hey, we're bringing in Mo Salah, you got to make it work, even though it might not go with the chemistry that you've built. Yeah.
Yes.
the owner says, hey man, I want to bring him in.
Yeah, but I mean, I think too, I think you could still have that that ethos, right? And still give yourself that chance to get that guy. Like you could still be that club, but now you could be that club with Mo Salah on your team, right? But to me, that I think what makes it really interesting, and it's not just like, because I think people right away are thinking, oh, it's a layup, Saudi League. He'll go there and make $10 trillion. But when you think of it's a World Cup year, do you think of potential landing spots? And it always used to just be the talk of Los Angeles, New York, and now obviously Miami. But San Diego's pretty intriguing as well, right? Like, so you could just picture that sort of recruiting trip, if you will. That's a prospect that I think is, and as you said, the history between the two of them, I think all of that, I think, put together, are they the underdog maybe in this? Probably still, yes, but I don't know. I think that they're in the, to me at least, they're in the conversation. They should be in the conversation.
Okay, so then if they are in the conversation, Chicago probably could be in the conversation because you're building a new barn. You've tried to court players in the past, including a Robert Lewandowski. I think that you're building Dylan Butler Estates. I mean, if you're City Football Group and you're bringing in somebody to usher in a new barn, and you haven't quite gotten to Pep Guardiola yet, do you sit there and kick the tires on something like that? Do you bring Mo Salah in to be a part of City Football Group's pyramid? Hey, we got a new building, and hey, look, we got Mo Salah. I mean, is that even make any sense at all?
I think it does go to that previous relationship. Like, I think those other, it's almost it's almost like cold calls for those two other teams, right?
Hello, is Mr. Salah there? Maybe is Mr. Salah there?
Meanwhile, San Diego's got the text exchange going already.
Yeah,
so
I could see that. That'd be kind of cool, actually. It's like you dial them up, and it's like, who is this? What number is this? What is this? A 2-1 what area code? It's like,
it comes up as potential spam.
Yes. So you have something like that show up. So I mean, you have owners in a couple of different markets. The big markets, obviously, they could sit there and chase, and then the 150. I think you're probably right. The 150 trillion that could be offered and made in Saudi Arabia, that they're not going to give up on that. The PIF will want to turn him into an ambassador and so on and so forth. So I am intrigued. And then if we were to ask the Premier League person in you about Mo Salah and his legacy, what do you think it would be?
I think he's right up there with, he's got to be at least in modern era. He's got to be like Mount Rushmore for Liverpool, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Stevie Gerrard, Mo Salah. He's been outstanding for them. So, I think, like with Newcastle, it's Alan Shearer and then kind of everybody else. And he's not quite there, right? I think for Liverpool. But again, among maybe players of the last 20, 30 years, yeah, he's among the best. Like he's been outstanding, super fun to watch. As long as he's not,
as long as he's not playing
against Newcastle.
Yeah, I figured that was where you're going.
Yeah.
Antoine Griezmann has made the social medias, and he's done the quick little videos. He has held up the jersey in the Central Florida Heat. He has done the picture. And when I mean by the picture, it is always the one where you're at the table, there's papers underneath you, your pen is elevated, it is not touching those papers. So we don't know if he has actually signed that piece of paper that might be a contract underneath him. And he's smiling at the camera holding the pen. So we don't know if this was a finished act or if he was just posing, and we're waiting until June or July. But Griezmann to the purple team, what did you think about that one?
I think Griezmann's always, he's made no bones about wanting to play here. And also just generally loving, like he loves American sports. Like he's a dude who's, he's going to be courtside at NBA games and like rubbing shoulder. Like he's all about it. Like,
could you see like Spike Lee or something coming to Orlando for the Knicks and the Magic, and
oh my goodness,
and Griezmann and Spike Lee hanging out with each other, and Spike Lee looking at him going, "Who are you, dude?"
I am a Knick fan, but oh my god, I can't with Spike Lee. I just. As a Ranger fan, we have Dancing Larry, he's right up there as like cringiest mascot along with Spike Lee.
What about the fireman for the Jets?
Oh, he's right there too.
Okay, just checking.
Put them all in the same barge and send them to a destination unknown somewhere
out that way.
Oh.
So you figured Griezmann was going to be over here at some point, and it's Orlando that has an interim coach and has started off the season
not well.
Quoting the Night of the Round Table in Indiana Jones, has he chosen poorly. It's an interesting situation that Griezmann is now stepping into in July, and you don't know how bad it's going to be when he steps in, and you wonder how much weight he's going to have possibly in the process if things continue not to go well as they search for a new head coach. It's just a bunch of interesting dynamics in play with Griezmann in Mendel.
Yeah, you would certainly in an ideal world, I think you would not have as many questions, right? Like when you're someone of Griezmann's status coming over, or really any player, like you have a bunch of, hey, where am I living? Who, what's my team? Who are my teammates? Like, what's it like on the, like, you don't need additional questions, like who will the manager be? Like when we do get the manager, what's the style we're going to play? Like, can we get more, like, are we going to be better? So, it's additional questions you don't want to have to answer, but for sure, it's another guy coming out. It's another intriguing, like we've seen different levels of these players of Griezmann's ilk come over, and some have been hits or big hits, and some have, with baseball starting today, right? Like some have been, I don't know, seeing eye singles, and some have been home runs, and
some have been traffic cones.
100%. So, I think because of how much he loves the culture and I think he'll, I think he'll do well.
Okay.
But the question is again, it's you can't carry it. Even Messi needs guys around him, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I just have this vision now of could you imagine if he brought Simeone with him? And Diego Simeone at his press conference is wearing the mouse ears. He's still wearing his black outfit. He still has the black suit and everything, and he's just wearing the mouse ears at the press conference with Griezmann as Diego Simeone is your new head coach in Orlando. Like I said, that is just me floating ideas out there and pictures.
Once you said that, it reminded me of that old. I mean, we're going back, right? Obviously, decades. But do you remember that whole Wayne Gretzky, when he was with the Oilers, got into some hot water by calling, was it the Devils, a Mickey Mouse organization?
So yeah,
when the Devils first moved to, or they first became a team after, I think it was Colorado Rapids, I think, right?
The Rockies.
Rockies.
Yeah.
Who became the Devils, and he called them Mickey Mouse art. So that would be true. Like they would be a Mickey Mouse. And then if you're Inter Miami, then you can have a tifo with the Mickey ears.
And see if you had Griezmann and the Disney ears and the mouse ears and the tifo at new stadium, then
right, the new.
It would be that'd be great. So if the Ultras in Fort Lauderdale when they go to Freedom, let's see, do the two combined? Do we see them at do we see them there? Okay, so schedule. Let's look at the schedule and see if there is an opportunity for the Ultras in Fort Lauderdale in the second half of the season to pair up with them, and the answer is no. Denied by the idea. Oh, that's disappointing. That is very disappointing. So, I mean, that is so sad that you would not have that kind of an opportunity to sit there and yell at them in that great a way. That would be fantastic if that were to happen. That needs to happen. They need to do something. They need to change the schedules around or something to make that happen. You look at the East, and the team that is there with you, that is moving into your building, 3-1-1 out of the blocks, 10 points, tied for second, and actually they're in second because of goal difference right now over Messi and friends. Who is this? Who is this NYC, and what have you done with NYC, sir?
Yeah, they've been great. I think Nico Fernandez-Marcao has picked up the biggest question was the scoring, where it was going to come from with Alonso Martinez out long term. Do they need a 9? What are they going to do in the window? They didn't get that guy in, but now all of a sudden he's 5 goals, 5 games. So he's been on a tear. Maxi, out of his
Benjamin Button.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not like Aquafina or something. It's like he's literally drinking from the fountain of youth.
He and Ponce de Leon, they're like this, brother.
But yeah, and the other parts are all complementing each other well. They're they're playing really well. And remember too, they were playing well kind of in the second half of the season into the playoffs. Obviously, they make the Eastern Conference final, losing to Messi in Miami. So I don't think it should necessarily be a big surprise. But yes, when Martinez, the way that he was scoring, and he was probably the most low key goal scorer or guy who scored a bunch of goals last year. That just people weren't talking about. It was Surge, it was Messi, it was Boanga, and he wasn't in that conversation. But he did put up huge numbers, and then now with him out, you're like, they're gonna struggle. But to their credit and to Pascal Jansen's, like, they haven't. So they've played well. That was a good game against Miami. That was fun.
And for the second match in a row, you had a keeper allegedly touch the ball outside the 14.
You had Messi winning the crossbar challenge. And then ultimately getting his 901st goal. So,
question from Dell in Charleston: what European player would you like to come play for NYCFC this summer?
I don't know if it's going to happen this summer. I think it happens with the opening of the stadium. So, like, if you're talking big name, and I don't know, do you play right along with City Football Group? Is it someone from Manchester City?
I mean,
yeah.
You got to look at and see who else has contracts that might be. Maybe you bring Tati Castellanos back. I don't know. Dell is wondering if you bring over Bernardo Silva. Get him over here. Get him on a free before it's all done. Jump the line and keep him in the family.
No, it's not a bad shout. I think it's a possibility. I think also, you want to, I think, if you can, make a big South American player splurge, considering, where the stadium is. And I've told you this by living, a few train stops away from the stadium. I just know the area. It's so heavily Colombian and Argentine and Uruguayan and Peruvian, like, so you go that route too, and you're gonna, you'll pack that place every night.
Two other teams at the bottom of the table. We mentioned the purple team. They've only won once in 5. Same for Montreal. Below them, and
also haven't played a home game yet, right?
Yeah, and actually, and Montreal, I think, gets a home game in like 2029 at this point.
In June.
Yes, and so there are teams below them, but there are teams below Montreal and Orlando. Columbus and Philly have yet to win. They're combined 0-8-2. They have scored 8 goals and given up 17. When you see Columbus and Philly, what is going on in your brain?
If you're Columbus, you're like, was there something in that Nancy contract that does allow him to come back, like an escape clause, or how the mighty have fallen is the first thought, right? Like, and it's funny because that was a manager, right, who leaves.
Mm-hmm.
But you would think, like, the pieces are all there, like, just don't mess this up, right? Like, it's like everything is in place. It's like a flipped house you just moved into. Like, look, we're good. You don't have to change anything. Like, you have all new appliances. We're fine. Just follow the same protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And in Philly, we've said this on a few occasions. I guess when you do get rid of your best players, you're going to take a hit. And even if that hit didn't happen last year, like, they kind of, they lost key players last year, and then everyone's like, that's going to be tough, and then they win the Shield. So now they're like, let's do that again. You can't go through a couple of windows losing your best players and really not replacing them. So I think that's what they're dealing with right now too. But I think if you were to ask me of the two, I think I'm more surprised with Columbus because it felt like, almost like the recipe was there. Just follow this recipe,
Yeah.
a pinch of salt and a,
Tablespoon of Arfston and
baking powder, not soda,
Yeah.
you'll 350 for 30 minutes and you're good. Like, so I'm more surprised by Columbus's struggles than I am Philly.
Yeah, and you mentioned obviously the struggles. I mean, and we had the same thing happen with Bradley Carnell after the first year in St. Louis. St. Louis gangbusters. They do great during the regular season because you're only playing them once at a time. Top seed. Then you're in a series. You get found out. And then you're exposed for what you were tactically and physically, and then you come back early season 2, and it goes off the rails in season 2, and he doesn't last. And Lutz Pfannenstiel moves him along. Then he moves over here to Philly. Philly in year number 1, you're there and you're doing your thing. He's Jim Curtin adjacent when it comes to philosophy. And now here in season number 2, yes, you've lost your 2 big center backs. And you have the younger dudes that are trying to kind of learn on the fly. You lose Ty Baribo, and you're trying to have, I guess, Milan Olaski is your pseudo replacement there, your hashtag Baribo replacement, And it's, is it Carnell and philosophy? Is it trying to get the young guys there? I'm leaning toward, at least in the interim, the younger guys and the newer guys for the ones that you've lost, because you lost some big names in Philly.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, and then like making things worse then is, Quinn Sullivan being out with an injury and, Kevin Sullivan looking good, I think, in the Champions Cup. And, maybe it's time for him to get more time. But yeah, it's not the easiest. Like, it's hard to get to look under those rocks and find those players, European players that seemingly nobody else is looking at. And then also along with that, play car crash soccer. And on top of that, it's play your kids. Like, so many things have to hit, I think, for them to be well, to play well, I should say.
Yeah, it's play your kids, be the Broad Street Bullies, or the Chester Court, whatever you want to call them. But you got to play Broad Street Bullies soccer. You got to play the kids. You've got to be economical with your pickups. And right now, it's not meshing with everything that you brought in, which hasn't matched what you replaced. What are you doing on the bye week? You just hanging out?
Hanging out.
You just hanging out?
When do I do that?
Hanging out. You actually doing? You going to watch? Make sure that that the boss is getting everything done at school and doing the getting her there, before everybody else. First to get there, last to leave. What's going on in the bye week?
Well, for Major League Soccer, I'll be on for the US match. I think both of them actually, but starting Saturday, I'll be on for that.
Okay. As will we. We'll be there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then a bunch of lacrosse for Varsity Media. This is a fun one today before I leave. So today is Chaminade St. Anthony's lacrosse. Now, I don't know. I'll give you all of the stats, if you will, and then you can tell me if there's something that you have in your area that is close to this in whatever sport, probably football, I would assume. But
okay.
So this is in the most recent rankings in both USA Lacrosse Magazine, which I am a contributor for, and also with Inside Lacrosse. They are both the 2 polls are the same. So Chaminade is number 5 in the country, and St. Anthony's is number 6 in the country.
Okay.
I did the count for this as well. there are 47 Division I commits between the two programs.
Whoa.
Yeah, 47.
Okay.
Altogether, you throw in some D2s, some D3s, you have 63 committed college players.
Damn.
So there's going to be guys who are D1 guys who aren't even going to step on the field today.
Man.
It is, in addition to that, you've got a guy in James Gillis who is top of his class, the number one player in the country in all positions by inside the cross for Chaminade. And then you've got, it's a rivalry. It's Chaminade and St. Anthony's. Like, there is a respect, but there is a healthy disdain between those two. So you kind of put those all in the mix. That is, high level, entertaining. It is always, they play twice in a regular season. They have this one twice in a season, the regular season game. They're the only two in their classification. So they'll automatically play for a championship at the end of the year as well. But yeah, this is no joke lacrosse here today.
And 6 people are waiting already for this game. Literally, there are 6 people waiting.
You will also have a food review at halftime.
See, there you go.
Cornerstone, which is an errant shot away from where the action will be, across Jericho Turnpike. Yeah, no, it has all the elements of must watch lacrosse. I know it is the opening day of baseball season, but this is legit lacrosse today.
At Varsity Media on the IG, the 280, the Facebook, and you see the link down there on the YouTubes. 6 people are waiting. Comments have been turned off. They are ready for this one. Broadcast starts at 4:45 on 25 March. St. Anthony's and Chaminade Varsity Media Sports Network.
Yeah, we'll have about a 10-minute window before that of a pregame. So
pregame with that guy right there, with high school lacrosse. Yeah, for us it would probably be something in high school football, like with, say, Buford and Gainesville, or Buford and Mill Creek, or something like that. Buford sending dozens of kids to college when it comes to their game. The defending now national high school football champions on the American football side, the Buford Wolves, they send boatloads of kids, and so it would be in their non-region schedule playing a Mill Creek or something.
But like 47 Division I players between the two of them.
Crazy. Yeah.
Like you name a school that plays lacrosse, and the odds are pretty likely that there's a kid from one of these two schools going there.
Playing it like Syracuse or something, following in the footsteps of Gary and Paul Gate.
Yeah, man.
That's how it is. As always, my friend, great to see you. Varsity Media this afternoon for high school lacrosse, where it's a knockdown, drag out, people are waiting, comments are turned off thing on the YouTubes. What's the mug today, by the way?
Yankees baseball. Let's go.
That's right. Opening day. So there goes Dylan. He's going to enjoy his coffee now. He's going to enjoy his lacrosse later, and we will catch up with you again next week.
All right, buddy.
There he goes, Dylan Butler, putting up with all of our nonsense on a Wednesday. And it was being able to catch up with him on Sacramento and expansion, and who does he want to bring in for Dylan Butler Estates, and the unveiling at NYC, and the discussions about Mo Salah. Is it Saudi Arabia and $150 trillion there? Is it San Diego? Is it wherever? And so that's the next bit. So since we mentioned Mo Salah, when that news broke yesterday, here was how it was received, and this is courtesy of our friends at Sky. Here, it literally, Vicky Gomersall was having a conversation with Tim Sherwood. So she was having a conversation with Tim Sherwood, and she gets this. You figure, and I give Vicky a lot of credit. Vicky gets this note in her ear, and this is further down the conversation, but initially she gets that note in her ear, breaking news, Mo Salah. And so she's having to navigate that while she had a live interview going on with Tim Sherwood, and she had Ashley Williams with her in studio. This is a little further down than the moment that it broke, and then you get Tim Sherwood's initial thoughts. But here is Ashley Williams being asked about Mo Salah and Tim Sherwood being asked about Mo Salah. Vicky Gomersall is the anchor here from Sky. Here's how it kind of broke yesterday on live TV.
Yeah, I think it's a shock that it's now. At the end of the season, like Tim said, he hasn't looked happy all season. It's not been the Mo Salah that we've been accustomed to seeing all the time. He looks like he's struggled to fit in with the team, but everyone at Liverpool's had a bit of a struggle this season. So, like Tim said, I'm not really surprised that he's leaving, but I'm surprised that it's just come through now whilst we're on air and not at the end of the season. But he hasn't looked right all season in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Salah's expressed he wishes to make this announcement to the supporters at the earliest possible opportunity to provide transparency about his future due to his respect and gratitude for them. Because of what happened before, and there was lots of question marks whether he was even going to stay there last season, perhaps that's why he's trying to make it very clear right now.
No, that's fair play. I think that well done, because he's put it out there. He doesn't want all those question marks to affect maybe their challenge for Champions League football in the run-in. So he's probably let everyone know, look, this is what's happening, and now it gives him a chance to take in the last few games for a club that means so much to him, and the fans to show him what he's meant to them. So that's fair enough. I think that he just no messing about, make the announcement with a few games left to go, so that it clears up any questions now.
Yeah, it's interesting. Tim, I want to bring you back in because as Ashley's making a really good point there, it's interesting that this news comes right now. What do you feel this will do to Liverpool right now? Because obviously they are still fighting on fronts. They've got the FA Cup to contend with. They're still trying to get into the top 4 or 5 in order to maintain and make Champions League football for next season. Will this galvanise them or perhaps not? Could it be a distraction?
I think it'll galvanise them. I think it will. I think they need something. I'm sure he would love to leave with a trophy. They're still capable of doing that. I believe the best Liverpool side is capable of winning the Champions League. Wouldn't it be great if Mo Salah was be able to win that and leave them with that and a couple of Premier League titles as well? So they're not going to win the league. They certainly, minimum requirement is to qualify for the Champions League next year. And I think with this news now, they'll want to give him a fantastic send-off between now and the end of the season. And I'm sure they'll utilise him on the pitch because he's still good enough.
But there was a point earlier in the year where he was not in the squad, and they seemed to do better when he wasn't. So you kind of figured it was time. But that was how it was handled yesterday on live TV with Vicky Gomersall and Tim Sherwood and Ashley Williams. So where things are with Liverpool and looking at the standings, and obviously you're looking at no, I don't want to go there. It's like I don't want that one. No, I don't want to go there. I want to go here. All right. So if we go and look at the standings right now in the Premier League, and you look at the run-in and you look at where things stand for Liverpool, I don't think Arne Slot comes back as head coach. But I also figured that if you didn't fire him when you lost 6-7 in all comps at one point early in the year, that you weren't going to let him go at any point of the season. You're going to let it run its course, navigate it unless it completely fell off the handle. And then at the end of the season, it is what it is. And, thank you for your service. Liverpool right now, 5 points back of Aston Villa. Liverpool has lost 2 of 3, and they have 7 matches to go. Next match for Liverpool is against Fulham at Anfield on the 11th. So you figure that's going to be a fairly calm crowd, since that's the first home match after the announcement that Mo Salah made on social media yesterday. So you will have Liverpool going up against Fulham to start things off, and they are a part of that second chase group. If you want to say Manchester United and Villa are, first chase group at 55 and 54, Liverpool right now is a part of that second chase group that from 5th to 13th is separated by 7 points. So you're looking at 9 teams separated by 7 points for the run-in. Everybody's played 31 matches. Everybody's got 7 to go. And so you cannot take a break. You can't breathe. And it is going to be a run-in. I will guarantee you that. It is going to be a run-in in the Premier League, especially for European football. And as I've said, 7 points separating this entire group. Liverpool, Chelsea's at 48. Chelsea's lost 3 of 4, by the way. Brentford's unbeaten in 4, but they've drawn 3 of those. They're at 46, ahead of Everton on goal difference at 46, and 2 goals separating those two. Everton's won 3 of 4. Fulham has hit each column once in their last 3. They're at 44 points in 9th. Brighton has won 4 of 5. They're at 43, ahead of Sunderland on goal difference, who's won 2 of 3. Newcastle had a 2-game win streak. Snap last time out. Bournemouth has drawn 5 in a row. 15 draws for Bournemouth, by the way, in 31 matches this year. So you look at the run-in for Liverpool. So match week 32 is, once again, we mentioned Liverpool at home to Fulham. Match week 33, Liverpool at Everton, Merseyside derby. Match week 34, they host Crystal Palace. Match week 35 at Manchester United, May the 2nd. Match week 36, hosting Chelsea. Match week 37 at Aston Villa. Match week 38, home to Brentford. So it ain't easy. The run-in ain't easy. So that's what you're looking at when they come back from match week 31. Friday, April the 10th is when that run-in starts. Half of them should be manageable, half of them not. But once again, 9 teams, 7 points in that run-in for Mo Salah on his way out the door wherever he is going in 2026, 27, and beyond. Right now, they are in the Europa League spot in 5th. After everything that they've gone through this year, the start that they had, now they're at 49 points, 5 points back of Villa, and they're at the lead of that pack that is chasing with 7 to go. So that's what you're staring at. Yes, Dell, thank you. Yeah, reminder in August, we got to do the Premier League fantasy group. Thank you. Yeah, we got to do that. So, yeah, when we get closer to Premier League, we got to do that. I didn't get into MLS fantasy this year. I just didn't. It just seemed like there was a lot there. Didn't get into it. So that was Mo Salah. Now he's heading out the door, and we'll keep an eye on that as we go. Also, today, what to watch, where to watch it, how to watch it, brought to us by our friends at Fanatis, fntz.co/soccer down here. That link is important. Helps them, helps us, and helps you. Adding more matches to everything you're already watching with Fanatis, you get all the be-ins. And I mean all the be-ins, which means you get French League, you get Turkish League, you get Polish League, which is still crazy. By the way, now that I'm fascinated, hang on just a second. Since we're here in the break, well, it's not going to tell you. Boo. Okay, since there's nothing going on. Anyway, the Polish League in and of itself, I'm going to have to look this up. Polish Ekstraklasa. Am I anywhere close? No, I am nowhere close to spelling Ekstraklasa. So Polish. So I'm gonna have to go Polish soccer leagues. All right. So I'm gonna just how crazy this first the Ekstraklasa, just how crazy it is. Top to bottom, you've gotten finally some distance. You finally have had things kind of level out a little bit. 26 matches played in a 34-match season from championship to safety, it's 14 points. Championship to winning the title to being relegated, 14 points. Legia Warsaw is finally out of the relegation zone on goal difference only. Widzew Łódź, however, is not. And it looks like LKS Niczyza, they've kind of fallen off the edge, and so they probably are going to get relegated to the second division. But next to last, which means you're relegated to the top of the table, 15 points. It was a lot less at one point. It was 9 and 10, but it's now 15 between Lech Poznan and Widzew Łódź. But anyway, so you get the Polish league, you get the French league, you get the Turkish league, you get all of AFCON, you get all of the AFC Champions League, everything from the African continent's there. Middle East is there. Also, you get a lot of the divisions, the A division, the B division in South America for a lot of the countries, Paraguay, Uruguay. You get the LPF out of Argentina. You get Copa Libertadores if you've missed it. Howard Hamilton over at the Soccermetrics Copa Libertadores show goes over all the groups for you as we get into group play and what he thinks about all 8 groups. So it's 32 left, and they're chasing after Libertadores. So you can listen to that. You can watch that on Fanatis. You get Liga 1 Max Pro out of Peru. You get CDO. You get TIC out of Argentina. You get Tigo Sports you're tied into. You're tied into the Copa Argentina that is airing on TIC. So a lot of stuff in South America. A and B divisions. You can get that at Fanatis at fntz.co/soccer down here. Now, what's going on today, you ask? That's kind of why we did it this way. 2 to NA's got the USL Championship at 7, Lexington and Brooklyn. Golasso has the Sunshine Derby, Sporting Jacks and the Miami FC on Golasso at 7:30. ESPN Plus has Lexington and Brooklyn. Greenville and the New York Cosmos at 7 o'clock. Looks like the new Greenville Stadium might be up and running early June. Keep you posted. Paramount Plus also has access to Jackson, Miami. CBS Sports Network has the UEFA Champions League, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United, Bayern Munich at 4. It is also the NWSL. That is San Diego and Portland. That is tonight at 10 o'clock. And looking at what you're staring at, it is they are rerunning. Now, is it? Well, hang on. Is it what I think it is, or what? Hang on. Let me see what's going on. It is. It's Women's Champions League. 1:45. It is Real Madrid and Barcelona. So El Clásico in the Champions League. Barcelona heavy favorite at a -400. Real Madrid feminine is a +725. Draws a +600. Manchester United women +210 at home to Bayern Munich's female women's team, and they are at a +100. Your draws at a +270. So that's what you're looking at with those 4 in the playoffs in the Champions League. So that is 1:45 and 4 o'clock today. ESPN Deportes simulcasting. Fox Deportes, Liga MX, Tigres and Club America at 9 o'clock. Very early this morning, ESPN Plus had the A-League. Fox ONE has Tigres and Club America at 9. NWSL Plus has Seattle and the Kansas City Current at 9 o'clock. We'll hear from Chris Armas in a second. Paramount Plus, once again, UEFA Women's Champions League at 1:45. And then at Victory Plus, which I've got to figure out, NWSL, 3 matches available. Gotham and Denver. We'll hear from Juan Carlos Almaros in a bit. Washington and Utah at 7 o'clock. Chicago and Orlando is at 8. And that gets you into the day as it is. So because of that, once again, we mentioned that the NWSL, they are midweek. They are midweek. And they have 5 matches going on today. 7 o'clock, it is Gotham and Denver Summit. Denver Summit making their way to the East Coast. Gotham favored at a -294. Denver on the road a +600. Draw is a +350. Here is head coach Juan Carlos Almaros as they were getting ready for this matchup. Once again, midweek. Here he is discussing a couple of topics, including rotation as Gotham gets ready for Denver Summit.
Well, I think teams are normally very well structured on the defensive phases, and and they try to be, very compact on that phase of the game. And then when it comes to, they want to also try to be, protagonist with the ball. At the moment, obviously, are still assembling the team of great signings recently with Jazz, Delaney, Yamamoto. Those are, they will be important players for them. And on top, they are building a new team, and I think they've done so far a good job. So it's going to be definitely an interesting game, no?
Juan Carlos Amaros, the head
All
coach,
right, we'll hand off to Melanie.
with a second follow-up question
Hey,
here.
Coach, Melanie from The Athletic. Thank you for taking the time.
Always.
Of course. Obviously, this week you have, a lot of back-to-back games, and then looking ahead to Orlando, Kansas City, some pretty big opponents. So I'm curious if you're going to be relying, or if you can share more about the rotation and how important that will be, especially when you think about, managing minutes and making sure the players are, in top shape for these performances.
Yeah, well, it's still very early for us, no? Like, unfortunately, with the FIFA competition, we also had another break that kind of break through our preseason, and we didn't really have a lot of times with the whole team. We only had the week of preparing the Boston game. Obviously, we've seen we have a couple of little injuries, and some players are still coming back from periods of absence like Esther, or injuries like Jordan, or we're still trying to manage everything, because always our priority is that our players' health. And at this point, yeah, I think that for me it's not about rotating; it's about the importance of the roster. I think the amount of games that we have compared to some of our opponents, which this year could go from a range of 9 to 12 more games, but we have the same number of players in the roster. It just it literally is impossible not to have 26 players ready. We have to have everyone ready to step up there, and that's who we are, and that's what we do, no?
Juan Carlos Amaros getting ready for his matchup, hosting Denver tonight. Washington at a minus 192, also at 7 o'clock, hosting Utah Royals at a plus 375. And the Washington Spirit still looking for their first win here in 2026. Opened the season with a loss to Portland, came back 2 goals down to draw Racing Louisville back on Friday at 2-2. And Adrian Gonzalez, the Spirit manager, said, we're believing in what we're doing, the process. When we win, we don't get too crazy. And when we lose, the same. Spirit will benefit from a mostly healthy lineup. Trinity Rodman cleared after the concussion scare from last week. Andy Sullivan back from maternity leave. Utah will not have Mandy McGlynn in net, out with a hand injury. Tatum Milazzo is serving a red card suspension. Jimmy Conrad says that, quote, the expectation should be with everyone coming in that they can pick up their role. So Washington and Utah on Victory Plus. We mentioned what's going on with Denver. Denver out of the block, still looking for their first win, and had a loss on a draw in their first 2, managing to avoid shutouts behind German international Melissa Kistler's 2 goals on the year. Team was dealt a blow when Jasmine Akey suffered a season-ending ACL tear this week, and Nick Cushing was asked about that. Be with her every step of the way throughout this recovery. Denver likely shifting focus to now Yasmin Ryan and Delaney Sheehan, as you heard Juan Carlos Amaros mention. Ryan got her first start for the Summit last week. Gotham will miss Jaden Shaw with a hamstring, and they'll have Tierna Davidson returning from injury. And so that one is also at 7 o'clock on Victory Plus. Now, Chicago and Orlando, that one is at 8 o'clock in Chicago. Chicago is an underdog at a plus 290, and Orlando is a minus 137. Seattle and Kansas City, that one is at 9 o'clock. Seattle a plus 260 at home. Kansas City is a minus 111 on the road, and the draw is a plus 210. You will hear some familiar voices on that one. It's going to be Jen Hildreth on the call for that one on the 4-letter with Ricky Lopez Espin. And here are Chris Armas and Ali Sentner as they were getting ready for the matchup, as they talk about what happened on the weekend and the quick turn.
Yeah, it was a tough conditions in that one in Chicago. Tough for both teams, but despite that, we thought we created a lot of chances and moments in the game. And if we're talking about slowing down in those transition moments, we maybe it's 3 or 4 goals next time. We we take a lot from the game. We take a lot to learn always. We looked, even in a few of the chances we give up, can we be even sharper? But it was only a few moments that we even conceded. So we left there thinking, it's going to be a quick turnaround. But if we can play in a lot of games, even on the road, where we can create a bunch of moments and not concede a bunch of moments, that oftentimes we can get points from that. So, yeah, we look ahead now quickly, a quick turnaround. This Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, it's not ideal. We all know that, which means there'll be some rotation in the squad, just about keeping people healthy. And quite honestly, for us to play with the intensity that we want to, we have to have fresh legs. So, yeah, quick turnaround. We're excited to go again against a really good team in Seattle and to test ourselves. But we're going to step on the pitch to win the game and give everything.
Yeah, I think it's a fun challenge for us to start off the season. I mean, both teams are playing a midweek match, so it's the same thing for both teams, and I think it's nice. We obviously didn't get the result we wanted last game, so to have a quick turnaround to change that and improve on what we think we lacked last game is great for this midweek match. So I think we're really excited. I think we'll be able to change a lot, and I think we'll be able to really put our foot on the gas midweek and then finish it off strong on the weekend.
Chris Armas and Ali Senton are getting ready for their matchup. It's NWSL Plus that has Ricky Lopez-Espin and Jen Hildreth, who should be joining us next week to discuss everything that she's seen so far. It's World Feed, Marion Crowder, Bill Hamid, Jen Hildreth, Ricky Lopez-Espin on NWSL Plus. And if you're in Kansas City, you can watch it on Kansas City 38, Jordan Angeli, Jillian Carol Latrenko, and the pregame starting at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern. And you can actually listen to the game, 90.9 The Bridge, Dave Borchert and Jake Yadrich. That's also going to be available on the app as well. So it's at One Spokane in Spokane, as once again Lumen is getting ready for the cup the world is chasing after. They're putting in grass. So they're playing in Spokane. It will be an interesting environment for both of these teams, but more specifically for Seattle, trying to get adjusted to life in Spokane for this matchup with the Kansas City Current coming up tonight. And then the late game in the NWSL is at 10 o'clock. San Diego hosting Portland at a -115. Portland is a +250, and your draw is a +229. Now, gossip, rumor, and innuendo, what to watch. And we already got into what to watch, where to watch it, and how to watch it. So it is looking at, if I hit the right one, let's see. It looks like Al Ittihad might be eyeing Casemiro, and we'll keep an eye on how things might be in the offseason for anybody chasing after anyone and everyone. So 4 clubs apparently are chasing after Archie Gray. Manchester United is one of them, according to Team Talk. Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea, Villa also interested. All 4 are expected to attempt to move if the Spurs are relegated. Deal could be completed for around $50 million is the thought. United have added Fulham's Jedi Robinson to their short list of options for the position, according to Football Insider, consistently linked with a move to Liverpool. United also looking to sign a left back to provide competition for Luke Shaw and Patrick Dorgu. Chiro Malacia is expected to leave on Tuesday. The club was linked to Alphonso Davies. Atletico de Madrid striker Julian Alvarez is Barcelona's priority, trying to sign a number 9 in the summer, according to Mundo Deportivo. Atleti could look to replace him with Strasbourg's Joaquin Panichelli. Mundo Deportivo also stating that alternatives to Alvarez, Galatasaray's Victor Osimhen, Juve's Dusan Vlahovic, they are not interested in Benjamin Sesko or Rafa Leao. Barcelona have informed Internazionale that they will start negotiations to sign Bastoni, as reported by Sport. Talks beginning after the international break, looking to offer a set fee plus an option to include a player in the deal. Inter wanting a total package of around €60 million. Inter reported to be interested in including Gerard Martin. Catalan side doesn't want it, the 24-year-old to leave, intend to offer other players instead. Barcelona also considering an attack shakeup, which would include listening to offers for Ferran Torres. Real Madrid concerned that Caroline Veer and Naomi Feller will not renew their contracts on the women's side, could leave on freeze in the summer. Real Madrid keen to sign Chelsea's Colombian striker Mayra Ramirez. Other talk. Talk Sport, City and United are expected to go head-to-head on Sandro Tonali, but he wants to return to Serie A. City and United won't face competition from Bayern Munich for Elliot Anderson. That's from Christian Falk. Newcastle, no intention of letting Lewis Hall leave despite interest from Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United. Liverpool, Dortmund, Liverpool, Newcastle among the clubs monitoring Josh Achiampong from Chelsea. PSG forward Ibrahim Mbaye is on the radar of Aston Villa. He is 18. Nico Schlotterbeck getting closer to an agreement to renew at Dortmund. New deal will include a pro-Real Madrid clause that will allow him to leave for a set fee, according to AS. Spurs willing to let Christian Romero leave in the summer. Atletico de Madrid, one of the clubs interested. Football Insider. Real Madrid's Antonio Rudiger, out of contract this summer, could move to Juve, Tutto Sport. Napoli want to sign Goretzka as a free agent from Bayern Munich, facing competition from Juve, Inter, Atletico de Madrid, and Arsenal. It's from Corriere dello Sport. PSG could swap Tottenham loanee Randall Colomawani for Jonathan David, according to Gazzetta. Dortmund and Bayern Munich, admirers of Tottenham defender Luka Vuskovic, 19, who's on loan at Hamburg and could leave Spurs if they're relegated. That's from Team Talk. Internazionale ready to make an offer for Manu Kone at Roma, could approach €50 million. Arsenal unwilling to entertain offers for Calafiori amid interest from Internazionale. Paulo Dybala's Roma contract is expiring. He's the topic of interest from Boca Juniors and Turkey, Gazzetta dello Sport. Villa, Roma, Fenerbahce are among the clubs interested in signing Dortmund's Julian Brandt as a free agent. Newcastle more likely to sign Lens goalkeeper Robin Risser than Spurs due to their hopes of playing European football. Galatasaray midfielder Gabriel Sara is being monitored by Villa, Newcastle, Brighton, Brentford, and Bournemouth. And Benfica center back Antonio Silva, whose transfer is valued anywhere from 15 to 25 million euro, could move in the summer and has received concrete interest from Bundesliga clubs. That's from Florian Plettenberg. So that's your gossip, rumor, and innuendo. You know what's going to be on TV. It's going to be a lot of women's soccer this afternoon and tonight. And we are getting ready on a couple of different fronts to get you ready for the high school games of the week. And those are tomorrow. We're going to be in Hogansville for it is Morgan County at Callaway. And so we'll have those for you, and I'll be down there tomorrow afternoon and evening for those matches, and those will be on the network once again. Go to soccerdownhere.net, hit the listen tab, and you'll find out what channel is up and running. You see which one's going live, and it's got the red bar, and it's off and running. You click on that. You can listen to the two matches from Hogansville. That is tomorrow. Once again, reminder, we'll be at the Brew House on Friday. We'll be at the Brew House on Monday to kind of get you ready for the two matches with the men's national team. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else that we've got going on. Tomorrow's the Power Hour with Nino and Nico. That's at 10 and 10:30. We'll go through what happened today, get you ready for what's going on tomorrow. And on Friday, it is we're going to catch up with the number one team in the highest classification in the state of Georgia, Jose Rodriguez, the head coach of Meadow Creek, who loses to Peachtree Ridge last night 5-1. He'll be on with us batting leadoff on Friday. We'll catch up with our friends from Beyond Goals. Casey White's going to join us at 10 o'clock, 10:30. We'll get you ready for the weekend and all of the things. And so that is another go-round of what's going on here at SDH AM. Thanks for dropping by. Thanks for Dylan for coming in and answering our questions. And it was a very newsy show today, getting you ready for tonight after what happened in Sacramento, getting you ready for the possibilities for Mo Salah. A lot of news on the board today. See what happens tomorrow. We'll catch up with the men's national team, find out what's going on there. All your other news, and get you ready for the day with Nino and Nico coming in hour number 2. So back here again in about 50 minutes for Red Clay Soccer Report. It's a trip to Hartville. Find out what's going on at Hart County. We've got your schedules, your rankings, news and notes, all the things coming up in one place. Red Clay Soccer Report right here on the SDH Network coming up at noon, because it's noon and it's Wednesday and it's high school soccer season. So from all of us here to all of you there, let me say hi to everybody who was here before we get out the door. I saw Lokeville had dialed in. Dell, good morning. It was, let's see, Kefsey is here and was here. Ricky, good morning. And I saw Lokeville. I saw Kefsey. And let's see, who else was in? Abby was in this morning before she had to go and do real world things. Morning, David. And who am I missing here? So there's Dell, there's Abby, there's David. And that catches us up. So for all of you that don't necessarily feel like you need to participate in the Twitch pitch, thanks for hanging out with us as you always do Monday through Friday here in this particular time slot, wherever you are on the planet. Thanks for watching on the archive. Thanks for listening in on your favorite podcatchers. We'll dial it up again tomorrow morning at 9:05 for SDH AM. Coming up top of the hour, Red Clay Soccer Report. We look at everything going on, the number 3 state in the country when it comes to high school soccer. Since it is the end of the show, that means one thing. Get to do this. Back at it again, top of the hour. Red Clay coming around the corner.